Hey yo, I'm Miss Linnea Lark, and today I'm going to teach you how to make a geometric bowl using slab construction. The goal of this project is to create an even, smooth bowl with impeccable craftsmanship. That means no cracks, and your slipping and scoring should be invisible to the naked eye. I know, that's a challenge. The goal is not creativity on this one, but instead to train yourself how to use a pattern and stencil to create a precise form, how to construct forms with clay that is at the optimal dryness, and how to even dry out your work so that it doesn't warp and crack. The goal here is clean, smooth, and strong craftsmanship. Don't worry, you'll get to use your creativity in the glazing of these bowls. So let's dive into it. A slab is a large, skinny, pancake-like piece of clay. You can make a slab by throwing your clay down repeatedly and flattening it. You can also use a rolling pin to roll it flat. And if you are lucky like us, you can use a slab roller. Woohoo! I used 2 fingers worth of clay and left all the shims in our roller to make a slab that's roughly 1/4 of an inch thick. For my students, I'll demo that in person. Once I have a long slab of clay, I drape it over my forearms so that I don't rip or warp my slab too bad, and move it back to my desk. Once flat on the tabletop, I use a scraper tool to squish away the texture left on the clay from the canvas of the slab roller. We will need to do this on both sides so that our craftsmanship is nice and neat and clean, but I just start with the top side. I gently scrape the surface multiple directions until my clay is nice and smooth. I then lay my board out on top of my slab and as close to one side as possible. I'm going to be measuring and then cutting the slab into 2 smaller slabs that are the exact size of my board. That way I can easily store the clay on my shelf until our next class. I set that square slab onto my board upside down so that I can then scrape the bottom of my slab smooth. I cut the excess slab so that I have a slab of clay that is exactly the same size as my board and no bigger. This is because if the clay is rolling off the edges of your board, it's going to bend and warp and also dry faster, so it's not going to be consistent. I set my first slab aside and use my board to measure out the second square slab. I flip the second slab and smooth out the back side. I now have 2 smooth slabs on both sides that have been cut down to the size of my board. I ball up all the cut away pieces because all the scraps and edges that I cut off can be saved in my excess clay bag to use for later. Now all in, this bowl took me about 2.5 hours to make without stopping. But art classes are only 80 minutes long, so this is all we're going to have time for today. So it's time to bag up your clay for the next class. Now, the trouble is that each of you only have 1 wear board, but you have 2 slabs. Let me show you how you're going to bag your slabs so that they stay fresh. We want our clay to set up a wee bit before our next class, but we don't want it to dry out so much that it's too hard to work with. Instead of keeping my slab straight on the wear board, which would suck out all the moisture from our clay, I wrap my wear board in a small trash bag. I'm careful to move the bag so that it is laying flat on the board and not crumpled up. We want the surface flat so that we can keep our slabs flat. I do not spray any water on or inside of my bag because I want our clay to get a wee bit harder. Once my board is covered in plastic, I gently place my largest slab on top. I then slide the board and slab together into the second trash bag. This bag will act as a barrier to separate our 2 slabs so that they don't stick together. I then place my second and smaller of the 2 slabs onto the first one. And lastly, I will slide the board and the 2 slabs into a third plastic bag. I don't use any water in the process. I am trying to get these slabs to slowly dry up. Since it is still 100 degrees outside, it's better for us to keep our clay wrapped tightly in plastic with no air inside. So I gently smooth the bags down, moving all the air out, and then I close my outer bag tightly so that air cannot get inside. Remember, we didn't add any water, so we really gotta stop the air from reaching our slabs. Once you guys are finished making 2 slabs and bagging them, you are free to use the rest of the class to finish a previous project or make something small and cute for someone you love. Also, if there's a long line at the slab roller, you can also work on something while you wait your turn. But the number one priority for this class is for every single one of you to have your slabs finished and bagged before the end of the period. You better get it done. If you'd like to learn more, please like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Thanks for your support, and happy day!